problem solving for social change. Welcome, problem solvers, for the July-August course. My name is Michael Fair. You can call me Professor Fair, Instructor Fair, Mr. Fair, I don't care. Last day of the class, you can call me Michael or whatever you saved up to vent, okay? I do these videos usually once every module. I was told by people much younger than me that nobody's watching a 20-minute video, dude. So this is, I know it's not your style. You want TikTok or something. But I know there's some of you that can handle 15 minutes or so, right? I'll do my best to keep it concise. The first one might tend to be a little long because there's a lot to go over. I want to introduce myself. I have posted an announcement introducing myself in some details, so check that out. The so-called Reader's Digest version, which who knows what that is anymore, right? Is that, you know, I can connect to almost every single one of my students in some way, shape, or form. I pride myself on that, okay? I didn't go to college till I was 52. At 58, when I got my master's degree, I was recruited by Arizona State University to teach. Oh, sorry, my good luck charm. But to teach, and I taught interdisciplinary studies and organizational leadership for 6 years, and I loved it. Then we got a new dean, post-COVID changes occurred, and me and 4 other people were out of contracts, which bummed me out because I loved it. I was able to connect with Southern New Hampshire, and oh my, what a great class. So problem solving for social change. And because it's a 400 level class, I already know that you're invested in getting this class, being successful in it, because it's like I don't call it a capstone, but it could be almost described like that, right? And as a 400 level class, that's as high as it gets before grad school, and then you get into the 500s. So you understand that there's higher standards, yeah, there's formatting. Oh, I know, he said the F word, formatting. There is, research to be done, and when I talk about research, I taught research at Arizona State University, and I was never a researcher. I had to learn from scratch late in life, so we'll get into that. Let's see, other than that, I was a single parent, raising 2 sons 24/7, 365, and they are both now graduates of Arizona State University, one in journalism, my eldest, who will be 33 in September, my youngest just turned 24, and he just got his master's in history and works at the Tempe History Museum as a collections assistant for the last couple of years. Backwards for that, in high school I had a .8 GPA. I sucked. And I got through it though, ended up graduating and went on to take 34 gap years, as I tell people. And in those gap years I had about 40 different jobs, most of them blue collar, as you go through the 70s, 80s, 90s. And I didn't get much of a desk job for a while. I've been in law enforcement as a sergeant for Milwaukee County and as an officer, detention officer for Maricopa County here in Phoenix, where I now live. Moved in 96, New Year's Eve 96, from Milwaukee to Phoenix. I do go back to Wisconsin often though. I'm sitting here though and it's really hot. And there's that bird again on my balcony. It's hot, and it's hotter than it used to be. So you can't tell me, I've been here a long time, and the average temperature for this time of year is like 70s in the morning and 90s to 100 in the afternoon. Well, yesterday our low was 92. So it's not good, people. Anyways, I had a lot of jobs, and like I said, law enforcement, business. I've been an assistant manager, a circulation manager for a newspaper. I've managed different things in organizations. I was tech sales. I'm still doing that on my side hustle, but I used to do it for, bringing in $4 to $6 million of revenue every year. I've done that for 27 years. Back when, selling 2 megs of RAM upgrade was considered, that's the end of the world. That's great. It's fabulous. You got a 2 gig hard drive? Bring it. I also have been a photographer since film days, which I love. Film is great. Now it's gone. I was a professional photographer. I did wedding photography, portrait photography, concert photography, sports photography, photographic art. My website is michaelmufasa.com. It's a nickname I got in college. I neglected it. I don't do it much anymore, but it did open some doors for me. I did it on my own. I got more serious about it as I moved on. In 2007, I went to Ghana and West Africa with Stevie Wonder for their 50th Independence Day. Came back. I did work with Amnesty International, with Bono's One.org, YouTube Bono's during their one of the tours, 360 tour here in Phoenix. I was the Amnesty International official photographer for their local concert here, and really enjoyed that work a lot. I was a mentor for recently resettled refugees that moved to Phoenix, and I taught them in classes that were like job interview skills, technology skills, and orientation to Phoenix. Okay, so I did a lot of that, and also I was a filmmaker. I made a nice oral history film that was supposed to go on PBS, but I said no. I wasn't that proud of it. I love it. It's on my website. I also recently taken on writing. I've always been a writer, but I was published online one of my short stories. I'm a flash fiction writer. I try to be very disciplined and write 500-word stories, 500 words only, not 501, not 499. It's a challenge, and it brings out, I think, a good discipline in a writer to do that. So like I said, the single parenting, the arts, law enforcement, business, bad at high school. I've done a lot of things, okay? Traveled a lot. So I like to relate to my students one way or the other, which is good in a class like this because it brings in interdisciplinary dynamics, okay? And interdisciplinary, it's not like jack of all trades, master of none, it's multidisciplinary would be like, learning about, math, and learning, I'm doing sustainability, I'm doing dance and geology, those are different disciplines. Interdisciplinary takes it another level and integrates, brings things together. So what we're doing here in this, because there's no subject here, no specific discipline, your project might work in one area and another, excuse me, I yawn at every video, and another person's may be completely different, right? So we'll get into all this. So what I want to just talk about at least really quick is the expectations are that you're going to consider and decide on a social problem that you're going to work on solving. You're not going to solve it in this class, and you're not going to not solve it, but I don't expect you to solve it. I expect you to develop a plan, and we're going to walk you through the step by steps. For many of you, this will be the biggest paper you ever wrote in college. Don't be afraid of that, okay? It's a step-by-step process, and everything you learn and do from Module 1 all the way to Module 7 when you submit it, it compiles it, okay? Of course, you're going to polish it up, and you're going to fix it, but it's not make work until you get to the end, and you're going to write a 12-page paper, okay? I used to teach a research paper at Arizona State, and it ended up being, 10 to 20 pages. Students would freak out. By the end of it, they're like, hey, that was pretty cool. It's not that bad. It really isn't. Okay, so hang with me. I'll throw in here that I have an open door policy when it comes to connecting with me. Please send me an email, set up a phone call, do the things that, that get you from spinning your wheels, okay? I'm the tow truck. I'll pull you out. Let's go, okay? So don't assume anything about what I think of you or your project. I will say that we are going to be really close. I taught this class in the last session, so I have experience doing it now. I know better what to look for. On this announcement, I attached a sample paper, one of the best ones from my previous class of 20 students. It isn't perfect by any means in terms of the topic, but the way it's laid out, the way it's formatted, the way it's sourced, I think is a very wonderful example for you to look at for context, okay? And to note that each section, more or less, was built upon during the session, right? What I'm going to emphasize, though, because of what I learned is that by the class, is that we really have to focus on a community. Now, a community, which you can read in Module 1 about, is defined in very different ways. Okay, it doesn't mean people living in the same parameters or boundaries as much as it is a community of people with shared beliefs, they share some kind of experiences, and we're going to stick with that. We're not solving global issues, okay? We're not. All right, and I want to have you bring it down. Here's exactly, there's a lot of good readings. Make sure you go through them. I have notes on the readings, but you're going to go through it anyway, so I'm not going to be redundant. Do the Module 1 work. Look at the objectives. Look at what you're going to learn. Look about identifying a community's social issues, okay? And note how SNHU defines social justice, because social justice or problem solving for social change is what leads to social justice, right? Okay, so communities come in all shapes and sizes, true. But be careful, it's not a global community here, okay? There's a video to look at, because we're going to work under 3 choice umbrellas you can work under, okay? Sustainability, social justice, civic responsibility. All 3 have dynamics within them that can affect a community of some type, and which you can then work within, all right? There's also reading on community. There's reading on 21st century sociology, and then optional, there's a theory of change reading, and then some library resources on interdisciplinary studies in the commons. I think SNH used to have an interdisciplinary degree, but they've changed it to the commons, and it's a much, it still fits within there, and because so many things are interdisciplinary nowadays that they decided to go about it a different way. Looking at the Shapiro Library, you've been here, I guess, probably most of you for a while. You know about the library. We'll be using it. I expect you to use it. I require you to use it, okay, for your sources. There's a discussion board. I want you to note the initial post is due by midnight on Thursday. I'm going to let you do your local time, and your 2 response posts are due by Sunday midnight, okay, before midnight, all right? Don't procrastinate. I've had people in last class, one person that was really close to passing and he didn't pass, but he blew off a couple discussion boards, and I can't make accommodations for somebody who just blew it off weeks ago and then asks if they can do it. No, that's not true. Now, I'll just give you some ideas about what the topics were in my first class I did, and I can see problems with that, but I had to give wide latitude because I didn't know entirely what to expect, what to look for either. So, for example, plastics recycling. I had the hiccups now. What's going on? Plastics recycling, I believe that's the sample I used. Let's see, the sample I used. By the way, I posted it as a PDF, but all papers should be in Word, have to be in Word. I posted this sample in PDF to make it easier and for you to see. Yeah, he's talking about plastics recycling, all right? And it's still a tough one because you can use these topics, but you're gonna have to, I want you to find your own, but I'm saying I had to implore upon these students to bring it down to a community level. If that meant, like their local community, okay, where they live geographically, if it meant a school district, if it meant an age demographic, things like that. California's water crisis, too big, you needed to bring it down. The housing crisis, way too big, got to take it down. So what the housing crisis where you are, right? Consumption of toxic microplastics, interesting. Needed to bring it to, I guess, the community of humanity. Green energy, mental and behavioral health care. These are all very general, too general. I want you to bring it down. Clean water access for the Navajo tribes in the Southwest, better. Cyberbullying, okay, maybe but tackling it in terms of from the school system they are in or the young people there. Navigating flood inequities, infrastructure challenges in Charleston Heights, very specific. Systemic racism, the student took it down to in education, solving it through education. Greenhouse gas emissions, general. Sustainability in aviation, general but specific but still general. Home ownership, general. Negative impact on the Romani American community by the continued use of the word gypsy. Okay. Cultivating sustainable gardens and landscapes, a path to flood mitigation. All right, that had to be brought down specifics. Mistrust in media, fake news, etc. Very difficult, if not impossible. Yeah, okay. I talked to each student about these, okay? Addressing the ongoing genocide and oppression faced by the Palestinian people in Gaza, an action plan for social change. We're not going to solve Middle East crises, okay? What I suggested to the student was, let's look at your local community. Where are you? Do you have a synagogue, a mosque, churches? Can you explore the means to maybe do interfaith events which then promote together a shared goal for peace across in the Middle East from a standpoint of here, because as we know how polarizing this topic is, okay? And so we're not going to solve that problem here, but we could look at local ways to influence and probably downplay that polarization, all right? A local and global issue that offers an opportunity for social change is gun violence. That's the way he titled it. Gun violence, that's a tough one. Let's get the communities and you can figure it out. Low voter turnout, lack of voter education. If you're putting an and in there, be careful, you might be too general. The global issue I'm discussing is related to veganism, animal agriculture, and climate change. There was some regret at the end of that paper because I advised through the whole thing about some of the dynamics involved to solving the problem of us being omnivores for the most part. It's an issue, but it's a tough one to solve in undergrad class. The essential role of fathers, addressing the crisis of fatherlessness in modern society. Very difficult, very broad, too broad. You could consider the myriad of dynamics involved that create an issue of fatherless homes, okay, or single parent homes, right? Tackling climate change through community-driven renewable energy projects. Not bad if you can bring it down and name the community and talk about it. So the emphasis here is local, 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 all right? I want you to consider that. Now, you don't have to decide in the first module, but I want to see your ideas, okay, in the discussion board or in your paper, so that we can get to something quickly, because by module 2, you need to be settled on it, right? Okay, so let me know if you have questions. Email me, okay? Get going. The most important aspect of this class for your success is going to be choosing a topic that works. And big is not better. Bigger is not better, okay? Don't think because you're not going to solve, just because, don't come here and say you're going to cure cancer or the solution is cancer, because you're not going to solve it, okay? If you did, I'll nominate you for a Nobel Prize, but okay, so contact me with questions. It's great to meet you one-sidedly. I know I've went way over my goal here, so it looks like we'll hit about 19 minutes. Welcome to the class. Hope to hear from you. It'd be nice. Anyways, all right, you guys have a good day. Take care.